Hi, ladies.
Hello.
We are Mom Proof. Welcome. Look
Oh
at
my
us. I'm so
goodness.
excited.
I am
We
excited.
have a very special guest.
We do.
Yeah. Jennifer Wright.
Yes.
I would say with player to player, and you own your own business, and you're this and
Momming.
that. You're just a badass mom.
She's a
And we're glad
badass.
you're here.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, welcome.
I
So
am
glad you're here.
beyond excited to be here because all you guys are wonderful. I feel the same.
Well,
you know
that's
that.
awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
We have a couple things to talk about. We're really curious about what you do and how you do it. More importantly, the whole parenting thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Far from me, Sandra.
I know.
Hey, I want to get back over to you. But we talk a lot about our experiences and what we could share with others. And amazing Kathleen is just on the expert side of the psychological teenage mind. And we've got experience with a couple girls. And of course, Jennifer, when was it we met? Were our kids in?
They had to have been in
second?
Well,
First
no,
grade. No, we're way back.
Kinder. Yeah, probably.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Becker went to school with you guys since early on. Yes. And I always touch base with Kathleen when I need a teenage reset. So
Don't we all, though?
So
Tell us about the last time you needed a reset.
Yeah.
An hour ago?
Probably.
Yeah.
Daily, for sure. Just a quick little, fight or flight breathing.
Well, how do you, let's talk about it. I mean, first of all, tell us about, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, why are you here? Because we definitely only pick badass moms.
That's right.
Yeah, and we wanted to feature other moms that have done really well,
amazing things
professionally, successfully, and or do stuff that are like important to our kids. And we just wanted to highlight our community. And
yeah. You know, the word empower, I think sometimes is overused, but at the same time, I love empowering other women because y'all empower me, you know. And early on, probably when my kids first started getting involved and got into, middle school, high school, and we started doing all the NCLs or the YMSLs and all that kind of stuff. And I looked around a little bit and some of the women weren't supporting each other. And it probably wasn't but I thought, what are we teaching our girls if we're not, empowering each other as women? But yeah, I have been married to my husband for 25 plus years, have 3 kids and a bonus kid.
No, snap.
Hey,
for success.
Daily. And I'm a mom above all else, I mean, I've always said God, my husband, my kids, my friends, and work. And so just keeping that in balance, speaking of reset, just constantly figuring out, am I putting my priorities in the right spot? But
how do you do that then? Like even right then, like that's a capital moment. Like how do we help each other keep priorities in order?
I think
tough.
Yeah. No, it is. But for some reason, I mean, we were just kind of resetting a second ago, and I do categorize. I don't know how healthy that is, Kathleen, if I categorize at times.
Departmentalize? kind of.
Yeah.
I think
put
it's
it in
really
little
good.
silos. I don't.
You need to, I think.
Ignore, but.
Right.
So, no, I've been out in our community since 2001 and have 2 businesses and kids. But I think it's important to be active to know what you can set your kids up for without holding their hand.
Especially in the community we live in, where there's a lot of competitiveness.
Yes.
And yet we're trying to model connectedness. I talk about that a lot, that pervasive climate is something the kids pick up on, right?
Yeah.
And so here you were creating an organization which was trying to like level that in a way and create a mentorship. Tell us more because I just thought it was brilliant.
No, so
it is brilliant.
My career that pays the bills.
Yes.
This was my passion project. The player to player is what it's called, and essentially we hire high school athletes, and then they get to train and mentor younger kids. But it really came out of my own need at the time. My oldest was a freshman, multi-sport athlete, busy, but I wanted her to get a job. I wanted her to have a boss. I wanted her to learn how to look adults in the eyes, shake their hands, have confidence, that sort of thing. At the same time, and it's funny, I went to one of the homecoming pep rally situations, and all the captains of all the teams had to speak. Well, they sounded like bozos. And I'm thinking in my mind, it wasn't their fault.
No.
They just weren't
They
prepped.
haven't
No
been
one trained
taught.
them. No,
Yeah.
They
no.
haven't been taught.
And we don't need to do it for them.
Right.
But just, hey, guys, heads up, you're going to be speaking for a minute, not even, be ready. Meanwhile, my little one was with me at the time, and behind us, there were some teens just cussing like sailors. And I'm like, guys, but they weren't aware. They weren't doing it intentionally or with,
Malice. Yeah.
They just weren't aware. So fast forward, at the same time, I was realizing I wasn't the person she was going to anymore, But then I did a flashback to my very best friend who was a year older than me in high school. Her name is Lacey. And
Shout out, Lacey.
Shout out, Lacey.
Lacey.
She was just a positive person, and she made it cool to kind of be positive and to be smart and to be, all these things. And I'm like, okay, so what if a peer did that? What if I had a really awesome senior in high school that I just kind of punted her into that environment? So fast forward, it not only is a mentorship opportunity for those 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders that are looking at these seniors who are awesome, but then the younger kids that they're coaching, and they don't talk about sports every time. I mean, as a matter of fact, most of their parents are making them do these lessons, and they don't even like the sport.
But it's that time amongst peers where they're positive role models, right? You can't capture that in a book.
So do they have to apply?
So yes, they have to apply. So
Just
they
like a
have
job,
to go through. So they actually are working for a company. They're not just mowing yards or babysitting. I mean, they actually, we have conference call. We used to have conference calls once a week, and it was hysterical. They'd have to dial in, before COVID, and then it turned into Zoom. But we try to teach them life lessons, and we listen to what they want to learn too. So recently, we did some of my college kids that are now in college that were my coaches when they were in high school. I asked them, and they said we wanted to learn how to write a professional email. They didn't know how to do it.
I know. I think they're finally teaching that in college, but they may or may not be teaching it in high school.
No,
and depends on who you have, what classes you're taking. Yeah,
and I mean silly stuff like one of my biggest things to them is if I text you, text me back. If you're late to a lesson, all those things. I mean, you're not intentionally doing that, but what that message sends is it's not important, or 100% they forget.
Yeah,
they forget till the next minute. Which, by the way, we love. That's why we love teenagers.
Yes,
that's right. Their frontal lobes are not formed yet.
Thank you.
They don't have it all together.
Right.
We have to be okay with that.
Yeah.
So
little things like, okay, before you go to bed, go back through all your texts, make sure you answered.
Good point.
A teacher or a parent.
That's great. That's really
one.
something that a parent can kind of remind their kids of too. I think so often we're talking about parenting when we get away a little bit from some of the life lessons that are like the reality of what they're going to go into in life.
Yeah.
Yes. I feel like
do you think it gets a little complicated though with like social media, because then they have like DMs, like we're talking about text.
Oh yeah,
emails.
About
Are you kidding? She just said conference call. Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're going way back.
You guys, I make them do things because when they do get to be out in the workforce, chances are they are going to have to correspond in these ways.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
this is beautiful. It's accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Ding ding ding.
And if they don't answer me, and I love them, I really actually one of the coaches that I tried to fire because he intentionally didn't show up to something, and I knew it. All his friends told me, and I love him. He's one of my favorite coaches. But just be aware. Text back. Just have that common courtesy. Yeah.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah.
I think Player to Player is really one of those organizations that parallels YSL. I mean,
yes.
Just having kids really serve is so important. I don't think we ever have enough of it in our community. But doing that is not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to deal with parents.
Yeah. That's
and
probably my least favorite.
teenagers. And it's
parents.
It's tough.
Parents.
That's tough. I mean, I know as me running an organization and caring for Cambodia, I always had to deal with volunteers and try and fire a volunteer.
Yeah.
Really hard.
No.
Right.
You need them.
And people that you
they're
need to
volunteering.
listen to. Right. But it's difficult. So how do you handle that? How do you manage that? Do you have any little tricks? I mean, I always had a no asshole rule.
Yeah.
That was mine.
Oh, well, that's one of our
don't work with
core
that.
values is
No
it was
asshole.
it actually is FFO, which is fucking figure it out. But
See?
we
I love it.
watered it down a little bit to figure it out. But no, we say one of our core values is to own it. So there have been times, one of the coaches his car broke down, or maybe he didn't even have his license, but the car situation, and he was supposed to be somewhere. Well, he Ubered to the lesson and then called me after and said, "Oh, Miss Wright, I Ubered to the lesson. I hope that's okay." I was like, buddy.
Brilliant. Yes,
awesome.
Brilliant. That's great.
But having them, there was another time they actually are age kids, so now they're sophomores in college, but they wanted to do a spike ball tournament. I said, great. And so I empower them they have to come up with the price point, where it's going to, all the things. And so they said it was going to be $10 a person. It was just going to be a high school league. They were going to have, I think there were 10 of them that were going to be the coaches. Then said it happened. Great. How was it? We had a Zoom kind of regroup afterwards.
Yeah.
And I knew where this was going. We were going to lose money on this, but I didn't say ahead of time. I wanted them to see it. So we had our little Zoom call and everybody's, excited how much fun they had, this, that, and the other. This person won, that person won. And I said, okay, so how were we on our margins? Like, okay, this is what we charged. You guys ended up you ended up using the restroom, which meant then we had to pay the cleaning fee.
Yeah, of course.
And I look over in Matthew's face, and he goes, yeah. I said, okay, what could we have done differently? Either not had so many coaches or, anyway. So that kind of stuff, but they won't ever do it again.
But you let them do it.
Yeah,
that's right.
Again, parents.
Fail forward, man.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You got to let them fail sometimes.
For sure.
Okay, you say something that I just love. What? And I have kind of stole it.
No, good. Go for it.
Oh, yes, on the way down.
I know. I say it a lot
good.
now. Is that teenagers don't suck.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Like we do.
Yeah,
we do.
Adults.
Yeah. Parents, adults, we do.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't know this at the time, but looking back, so my daughter at the time was dating this precious boy who's still, I just had lunch with him on Friday to talk about his resume and what he was wanting to do. He's just a great kid. But when they broke up, they were ninth grade or something silly, but I mourned because he taught me how to be a teenage parent. And I told him that when he went to high school, graduated from high school, because you're like, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. Your mind's saying, and just having to bite your tongue, because they do live so in the moment. Yeah. We were all teenagers.
We forget.
Yeah.
So how did you manage that though? Because you had all these kids and you have a job and then you have your house to keep up with.
So for the player-to-player stuff, we learned a lot as we went. And I always told them, this is their company. This isn't mine. This is what they want to put out in the world. Even when we had the interviews and the hiring process, back to your interviewing question, they have to apply. They have to be referred by a coach or a teacher or a pastor or something like that. But when they interview, we say, what you do in public, you might not realize, if you're cussing at Starbucks or if you're, leave a mess at a table, people know you're a player-to-player coach. And it's not just me. It's, Sam and Sally and the other coaches, that they're doing. But over the years, we've grown and we actually have what we call senior team captains now. And so their job, and this is fun, their job per sport is to manage their peers. So if there are, call it,
tough. I love it.
If there are like 15 football coaches for player-to-player, then there's one senior coach, and they're supposed to kind of rally that if we have a meeting coming up or if we need X amount of coaches to run an event or whatever. And they'll say, Miss Wright, they're not texting me back. I'm like, really?
About it.
Yeah, okay. How does that feel?
Yeah. So it kind of gives them, but that helps manage that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
My other company, I kind of got to a point where, there's some people that have worked for me for 20 years. Yeah. So we kind of have our crew.
Got to trust there and lean on them.
Yeah. And then I always just said that, parenting came first, and everybody knows that in my life, that if something comes up, then everything else is just gonna sit for a second.
What do you feel though has been like, because you took the player-to-player to an NGO also, right? Tell us how, what inspired you to do that? Because we talk about staying bothered. None of us have our shirts on right now, but I have people.
I have a staying bothered shirt.
We need to get you a new one.
Yeah. How did you stay bothered enough? What motivated you to take it to the next level?
The stories, there was a girl, Sophia, that, how competitive volleyball is at where we are.
Lord.
And she didn't make the team, and she called me and she thought she wasn't going to be a coach anymore. And I'm like, no, as a matter of fact, you're more of a coach now than because how many others that you're coaching are going to go through this? And you know, we're all more than the sport we play, and our society has gotten adults, not the kids as much, but the adults are making that their identity. You know, we all know some athletes that were struggling for years, and I saw one specifically who was a coach too, and I said, "Are you talking to anybody? Not psychologist, not you know, it could be, you know, the janitor. I don't care, but are you?" And you know, he was at the time his girlfriend, but I was thinking, this is, you know, tough. So that I stay bothered because I see, you know, they tell me things, you know, that seemingly would be trivial, but back to teenagers living in the present, their world is now. It's so big now, you know, even though we know it will be different next week.
But you took it over to another country too. Tell us about then the raising of the sports equipment and the whole. I mean, that's cool.
So one of the things selfishly that I started, the reasons why I started Player. I love teenagers. I love sports. I love philanthropy. I love recruiting and business because that's what I do on the other side. And then I love travel. So the one piece that was missing was travel. And actually, I went and talked to Jamie. We were going to go to Cambodia. Year one. But it was just, I couldn't get it all lined up with the timing. And but then Honduras came up because some people had recently gone there. And so we went over there 4 times so far. Once we got stuck. That was fun during COVID.
I remember.
Yeah, that's a whole story in itself. That's interesting because that shifted our purpose. And at first I was devastated. So we literally were in the air. Do y'all remember when South by shut down? And I was like, okay, this is a little aggressive.
It was very weird.
And we land, and then they shut all borders. And so then martial law went into effect at the time we were there, and we couldn't get out and all these things. But at first, I was devastated that these kids weren't going to get to experience this amazing. Speaking of delegating, so there would be 2 coaches per sport, okay? So the first one we showed up to was baseball. It was a junior, and at the time, my son Becker was in 8th grade. And I just took him with us. And they were our base. So they had to manage their peers, manage us. We had no idea how many kids were going to show up to this clinic in Honduras. We had no idea how old they were. They don't speak English. So Preston and Becker had to say, Miss Wright, you're on shortstop. So-and-so, you're on what? Like that. I mean, there was over 100 kids in that.
That's neat.
In that clinic.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't it funny how you just adapt?
So
that's part of being a leader right there, too. When you're like, all right, we got it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
You fake it, even though you're dying inside. But that, you know, the confidence of you're doing something that's so meaningful just carried you through.
Oh, and they just, my favorite things every time we went to Honduras. So that specific time when we got stuck, it turned into, we literally couldn't do clinics. I mean, the police would show up and things like that. So it became a social experiment at that point because we didn't want to scare the world that we were stuck. And so then Fox News came to us and we were and we were all lined up, and she would ask a question, I would kind of kick one of them, and then they would answer it. And then the next question, then I'd kick another one. But they got to see what their voice and how quickly we were able to, you know, we didn't want to cry wolf, but, you know, how quickly you could get help or how community is, you know. So those
are good lessons.
That was
another voice. You said voice.
Yeah.
You said community.
Yeah,
big time.
And support of each other. I mean, some were, you know, Kimberly was there, and she was a freshman at the time, so she was panicked. She was so worried, and so watching them support each other was amazing.
Look, it's nothing's that bad.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, no, we would have kind of fireside chats every night and learn from what, you know, we learned that day.
Yeah.
And I had them all bring their Bibles. You know, some are more biblically inclined than others. I'm Catholic. We don't know the Bible as well as other religions do. But they had to, at the beginning of the day, I'd say, okay, what Bible verse do you live your life by? Because that's a way to dig into people a little bit.
Oh, man.
And so even if they didn't have one, but they could
find one. Yeah.
And it was amazing. The quietest of ones what they would say, but they always did take away that these people are so joyful here and they don't have anything, and look what we have. So that was always that takeaway
about that from Cambodia, and that's amazing.
And they will still to this day, my very first group still reaches out and says, "Can we go? Can we go back? Can we go
You
back?"
impacted them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So hopefully they'll, keep going.
Yeah, they'll keep doing it.
That's impressive. And I was thinking though, we talk about like obstacles, and I know we had some questions lined out for you, and we're veering, which is fine.
Yeah.
But, I mean, were there things you felt like we talk about being comfortable with the uncomfortable? So you survived being stuck there in Honduras. What about just here as a mom, and just I don't know. The barriers
You look so serious.
the
about
barriers to like
parenting
momming.
is hard. That's why mom proof.
That's
just
why we're
shows
here.
that we can handle about anything.
We can.
Yes.
But is there something that sticks out for you that was like, oh yeah, this time?
Gosh, sometimes the parents, and we're in this shift right now, and I have nephews that are in 5th and 3rd grade, and sometimes I'm sad for all of that age just because we grew up drinking out of the water faucet and coming home with dark and playing a gazillion different sports and being able to do those things and figure it out. And, there are tons of podcasts out there right now, and some professional athletes that are now coaching their own kids are coming out and saying, okay, your kid's not going to be Michael Jordan. Maybe they are.
Yeah.
Let's not cancel their dreams.
But so that's hard, I think, sometimes to deal with the parents because
funny, we talk about that all the time. But we're in our own way sometimes. Other parents are in our own way. They will yet to be named who they are, but those parents are there, and
even the coaches and teachers that are coaching and teaching our kids maybe shouldn't be anymore. And I'm not
it's a different profession. Different profession than it was 20 years ago.
We're talking about high school students or middle school students that, they
want to be connected. They want to be loved. They just want to be validated, noticed,
and heard,
or given faith. Like to maybe they're not the best one on the field, but I promise you, if they think you believe in them, they're gonna, move mountains. So
I did experience that with my son who didn't play any football, and then all of a sudden said, "I want to play tackle football." And I did experience that with his team. They had a really good team.
Yeah.
And the kids were so supportive of each other.
That's good.
And I was so glad he did it because they really did. I think he got a big lesson out of it. And he actually came away very inspired. And now he wants to do all these things. And he's like, he walked away with I can do attitude.
Yeah.
And I think that came from the parents and the coaches and the kids themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That leads me to another thought. Even our own child now, Becker, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about you for a minute.
Our kids are used to it.
But
hello.
He's not
love you, Becker.
6'5".
He's 6'5"?
No, he's not.
Oh, I was like, what the
No.
heck, girl?
But he was a good athlete. But let's be real. That's not going to. So luckily, he would come home every night and had either Tommy or myself but he wanted to know if, and not just him, but many of the kids, they want to know what their boundaries are, what's the reason. And sometimes it's because you're not good. That's okay. They want to know, though.
Yes, let's not like cover it and just
and
like,
they need to know.
talk.
Yeah.
That's right.
You don't have to be good at
it's
everything.
called authentic, right?
Yes.
Let's be authentic with their own kids and model that.
And he wanted to know, and because sometimes it would be the exact same stat, let's call it. And I'm not talking about him necessarily anymore, but
right.
But why weren't they on? Oh, and this person, by the way, never goes to practice. Or by the way, this person has behaved this way.
But there's not an effect. So that cause effect lesson as well. Yeah, that's
so. I feel it's a struggle for me to know that not everybody has that to go home to, and then now they're dealing with it themselves.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing of this group. I mean, I think the reason we three connect so well and we have friends like you is because that is a commonality, like that ultimate belief in our kids as just beautiful souls, just because they're alive, right? They don't have to prove a dang thing.
Right. Yeah.
And I think, too,
being themselves.
Just be you.
I feel like very authentic with you guys. Always have. There are quite a few people like that in our lives. But you guys always ask about my kids. I always ask about y'all's kids because I genuinely, I think
curious
we're missing that a little bit these days of we can care about other people's kids, even if they're the competition. You know what I mean?
Good point,
And we should.
girl.
You know, it goes back to
Yes.
the top things. I'd say the top 5 things in parenting is that your kids need to know they have another circle that
Right.
they can turn to.
Yes.
And that, because they're so dang busy now,
Yep.
they may
Yep.
not have church. They may
Yep.
not have a coach. They may not,
Yep.
who knows?
Yeah.
But just someone.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
kindness counts.
Yeah.
Does.
And if our kid isn't wanting to talk to us, and I recognize that, I don't need to be there for every,
That's right.
but I know my kids will go to Kelly. and they'll, you
That's
know.
great.
Yeah.
You do know as you get older, though, they tell you everything.
Quit talking.
Oh,
No,
my
no.
God. Everything.
know.
I mean, keep talking.
It's true.
kids.
Sorry,
We
we
love
love
it.
you.
Yes.
So what's up for you next? What's your next biggest thing that you want to do?
Ooh.
Then we're going to do the question. We have
We'll
our
do the question, yes.
jar.
Oh, we have a question. I have given myself a minute. So we're in this phase of life. So we have one left in the house, and it's uncomfortable because I have a little bit more time on my hands. To your point, you know, how
Yeah.
did you do it? I was kind of crazy, but I thrive in crazy.
Yeah.
So to have
I
to
wonder what
sit,
number she is. We got to
I
get
know.
her Enneagram.
Enneagram.
Do you know your
Yeah.
Enneagram?
Jamie had me look at it. What did or what?
Is
an
she an
eight?
eight?
No, she's
Oh,
like you.
then
I
she's
know.
right.
We're
This
both
is-
eights.
Yeah,
With an
perfect.
exclamation
Perfect.
point.
Yeah.
Um,
You did tell us that, Jamie, that she had taken it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
Yeah.
So I think, as selfish as this sounds, I'm trying to figure out what that is, and I'm listening.
Get to.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And that was a little uncomfortable at first, but I think so. We built a technology also with player to player on accident. We didn't want
Cool.
to. We developed an app because there wasn't a technology that allowed minors to communicate with minors in a safe environment and to chat. If if
good
there's a
one.
wreck on 620, you know, Michael couldn't text the mom because I wouldn't let them. They had because they were minors.
Good.
So they'd have to text me and then I'd have to anyway. So now, and there wasn't anything out there that had that function. It was more team based. So we developed an app, by the way, with the high school students from
the Lori Rister's
yes.
class.
yes. So we spent
Lori.
a whole shout out to Lori Rister.
Shout out
Oh
to
my gosh.
Risters.
So again, I wanted to empower these teens. I could have gone and paid a developer to do this, but we got a little.
I love it.
And we did it every Tuesday. We'd order pizza. I love those girls.
Oh my
they're
gosh,
precious.
right?
And yeah, we just mapped it out. And actually, I wanted them to have on their application for colleges that they had an app that was in the Apple Store. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Oh my gosh, that is amazing.
so we're building in that mentorship piece to it. Like you can't be a player-to-player coach. You're going to have to still do that 10 minutes of training once a month, kind of like defensive driving. You have to go through your modules and take a quiz to still be on there. But otherwise, they'll be able to run their own business in this app.
Cool.
And
So
name
smart,
their price.
Jennifer. Oh my
Well, and we're gonna-
gosh.
the other thing, now that I have college kids, is adding those kids. They might not still play the sport, but how many hours of training did they all have?
Yeah.
Right.
So-
Absolutely. There you go.
Yep. Instead of Instacarting
Oh, I
or
like it.
DoorDash, they'll be able to
Love when I learn
get on there.
something
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
new. Share it. You're amazing.
So-
Yes, she is.
You
I'm
are.
crazy, but aren't we all?
are crazy.
She is crazy. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hashtag.
Is it your turn?
I think it was
I guess
Sandra's
so, yeah.
turn. Yeah.
So y'all have this predetermined, like, is this, once this is gone, what happens?
Well,
Well,
we
you gotta
come up with new
more.
questions.
fill it up again with new
That's
questions.
hysterical.
What are we
Oh, this is a good one. What's one piece of advice you wish you could give to your teen's future self,
Oh.
and how would you deliver it in a way that doesn't sound like a lecture?
Oh, okay. So a piece of advice. That's Jennifer has to go first. No, you don't have to go first.
Oh, no, good. Okay, we all do this. Okay,
we all
I can-
try to.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay.
you go.
Well,
Okay.
read it one more time, please.
What's one piece of advice you wish you could give to your teen's future self, and how would you deliver it in a way that doesn't sound like a lecture?
Dang.
Oh, your kiddos.
Yeah. So they're going to be like an adult
No,
now.
yourself.
Oh, wait. You said your teen's future self.
Yeah.
What's
So,
one
like,
piece of
Reagan-
advice you wish you could give to your teen's
Let's say
future
Reagan's
self?
like
Yeah.
30 now or
Reagan's
something.
Yeah.
unit. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to tell her something that I think we've all said, and I'm going to tell her just to her face while we're having like a glass of wine because she's 30 at that point. Just to be so authentic and to keep doing her. She has been the most authentic teenager I've
man.
like-
She is about the most
I would
authentic
just say
teenager I know.
she has taught me so much, but I would just say to her in her eyes, you know, authentically, because she'll pick you off if you're not. Most
Yes.
of them do.
Yeah.
But just keep true to you because it's worked all the way till right now.
Yeah, I think I'd go along those lines too of like, hey, Ave, guess what? It's okay to miss out.
Yeah.
It's okay to miss out.
I'd say that's my second. So
And
yes,
probably
beautiful.
save more money right now.
Do
Do it now. Save now.
Save
That's
now.
good.
Save now.
Just $10 a month.
Good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say like just staying like on the authentic too, and really believing in yourself and going for what you want, not what you think other people want you to do. You know, and
It's a good one.
stay true to that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Jen's like ditto.
No, for ditto to all, yes. Listen to your gut. And when you fail, self-reflect, even if it's little or big, doesn't matter. But I don't have many regrets in life, even the worst times, because I truly could have maybe done something differently, and I won't do that again. But listen to your gut. And to your point, we all in our 20s kind of are people pleasers a little bit.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think they have to go through that, right, Kathleen?
I mean, sure.
But
For sure. But some will lean into that as a way to be in their personality, whether you're Enneagramming or not. And others will just, become that and then catch it and stop doing it, which is good.
yeah. But I'm all about intentions. I mean, if it all dumbs down, it's did you intentionally mean to do this or that? And if you didn't intentionally mean to hurt someone with an action, obviously apologize or whatnot, but know that you didn't, and it's okay. It's a forgiveness too at the same time.
Boom. Self-forgiveness.
I like it.
We're
That's a
smart.
great way to wrap.
It is a
Yes.
great way to
I love
wrap.
it.
I forgive you for rapping because I don't want to rap.
I know. I don't either. Jennifer, we so appreciated
Jennifer
having
Wright.
you.
Fun.
It is
Thank
cool to
you.
really do mom proof
Yes.
with other badass moms.
Yeah.
And it is the art of being comfortable with being
uncomfortable.
We've all been there.
Absolutely.
So good. Well, you have to come back and
I would
keep
love
us
to.
posted.
And y'all's audience, y'all are killing it. I love it.
Thank you.
Y'all
Thank
are lucky
you.
to have them.
So fun.
Appreciate it.
That's a wrap.
So-
Thanks, girls.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye.
you.